Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Bedomy and this is Devil Spire, a first-person roguelike dungeon crawler which is coming out in February 4th. And it's a passion project developed by a group of friends who worked on it during the COVID pandemic. I mean, COVID is still an active thing, but during the first years it was considered a pandemic, honestly, but I think it was blown out of proportion in my book. It was just another way of how pharmaceutical companies wanted to make money, at least that's how I see it, but details and public discussions, not public, political discussions, that's not something I'm here for. I'm here to talk about video games, and boy, this is a very interesting game, I have to admit. It's a first-person dungeon crawler, and it takes a lot of inspiration from Dark Souls, Hexen, Doom, and other first-person shooters of old, and some modern hardcore games that have been released and gathered quite an audience over the years. I mean, Dark Souls, Darkest Dungeon, and I'm drawing a blank currently, but there's also, well, I wanted to say Diablo, honestly, but that's an older game as well. So I'm not sure where I would categorize it. But yeah, as I said, this is a passion project that's coming out on February 4th. And I would like to read the name of the people who worked on this, but with this font, it's kind of hard to tell A's and O's sometimes, and I'll probably mispronounce some of the names quite drastically, so I do apologize to the developers. They did a phenomenal job. I'm not gonna lie. They created a interesting looking world, interesting spells, weaponry. Everything about this game it's something I really enjoyed. And I also really love the music. I'm just gonna give you a basic summary here, so you don't have to. So if it's too long a video, you can just end it here after I finish this. So Kevin MacLeod created the music. Well, most of it. It was composed by Kevin MacLeod. Damn it. I have no idea how to pronounce his name. But I did hear a couple of his compositions, and every time I heard them, they were brilliant. So yeah, the music is definitely dreary, creeping, and gives a lot to the atmosphere. And same goes for the sound design in general. It's creepy, it matches the setting, and I love it. Ithiro Sumi, the main creator, the director and creator of the game, should be commended as a great indie developer. I honestly love this game. Not gonna lie, it's difficult, it's challenging, and I'm still learning how to play this. Characters were created by Lucas Perdomo, and in the interface art was created by Lucas Bressan. Mr. Junker MSX, so that's the font we're reading currently, was created by Void. And Allegrad, okay, I honestly cannot even read half of this stuff without my glasses. Excuse me for a second. Yeah, much better. I probably should have put them on before I started recording. But anyway, as I said, this is the basic summary of the Devil Spire. It's a passion project by a group of people, and they did a phenomenal job, in my book. The gameplay is good, the sound design is good, the character artwork is good. There are some issues that we will address as we go along, but we'll get to that when we get to that. First things first, let's take a look at the options menu. As you can see, we have 4 categories to choose from, and when it comes to options, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed, but what needs to be adjusted is here. So master volume, music volume, sound effects, and ambient volume, they all have separate sliders and can be adjusted to your own personal preference. That's always good. Graphic options, they're good. This game takes a lot of inspiration from earlier from the very early first-person shooters and PS1 era games, and those games, visually speaking, they were pretty blocky, and their polygonal numbers were not so were limited, to say the least. So they all had that jagged. Well, we all saw it. You'll see it when we get to the gameplay, but yeah, this game has 3D models, but also 2D pixelated graphics. They work in combinations, so yeah. Graphical options are limited because of it, but what needs to be adjusted is here. Full screen on or off, window size, brightness, VSync on or off, anti-aliasing. I would recommend that you keep these turned off for the most that you turn off anti-aliasing and VSync for the most authentic visual experience. You can adjust the field of view here, as well as head bobbing. And if you wish to see the FPS counter, you can turn it on or off here as well. Gameplay-wise, you can adjust camera sensitivity and invert the camera controls if you wish. You can turn off hold shift to run how do I put it? You can choose if you want to hold shift to run or just press it once to continuously run. You can also choose if you want to turn the gamepad's vibration on or off, as well as adjust which gamepad slot do you want to use, which USB slot you're using. And finally, you can adjust the minimap's position, whether you want it on the screen, to the left, in the middle, or to the right, or just go without it. And you can also turn off the in-game timer so that you don't feel pressured. It will just it's not a countdown timer. It's just a timer to see how long you'll be in the dungeon. How long it will take for you to finish the whole tower. But I'll give credit where credit's due on the gameplay front. It's nice to see that the developers didn't just put the gamepad as the default control method. It doesn't turn off your mouse and keyboard if you have it plugged in and you want to play with a mouse and keyboard. The game will not ignore your mouse and keyboard input. As for the key bindings, look at this. It's beautiful. Every action has a separate key binding. You can adjust multiple control methods to similar actions. So if your mouse breaks down, you can still attack with your control key. You can also readjust the key bindings on the gamepad if you choose to. I mean, seriously, you can play this game with just the keyboard alone if you adjust everything to your personal preference. But I will go with the default first control method, which is a control method I'm used to at this point with all the first-person shooters that are present on the PC. So yeah, left mouse button for attack, right mouse button for defending, R is kicking. Yeah, I love this game already. So those are the options menu. Yeah, those are all the options you'll get. So as you can see, the game has. You can continue. I'm not going to continue the previous game because this game requires not requires, but has different modes of play. So I'm just going to I'm just going to start from scratch and show you everything as much as I can, possibly. Sorry, this game is coming out on February 4th, and I am recording this on February 1st, so I'm trying to give this game as much exposure as I can and create some decent hype for it when it comes out. Because honestly, I think this game with a proper community and community support could become a massive hit on not only Twitch, but YouTube Let's Plays. Well, then again, Google owns YouTube, so never mind that. We'll get to that when we'll talk about this a bit later. So, as you can see, this game takes inspiration from various difficult games. Well, not just difficult games, but older games and popular roguelikes in general. So, from Dark Souls, it takes the Souls part. Well, not literally, but you do have a soul currency which can be spent on, well, not upgrades, but unlocking different modes of different gameplay modes and difficulties. I did already unlock all of it, unfortunately, but yes, as you play, you will collect souls, and you can use those souls to purchase additional modes of play, such as Dissension, Chaos mode, which is a randomized run, and also a boss rush arena. I would recommend that you go for, there's no recommendation. When you start off, you only have the Ascension mode, which is your default mode of play, and it is pretty challenging, all things considered. You have 24 floors to climb up, and you also have 5 optional dungeons that you have to discover. And you have 2 separate endings. One is for the descent mode, and the first one is the default one is the Ascension mode. You have 4 difficulties. I'm going to play this on normal because this game is difficult even on normal mode. So try to go a couple of rounds on normal or easy, just so that you can get to familiarize yourself with the gameplay in general. You can also adjust the speed here so that you and your enemies will move faster. Difficulty, I believe I don't have to tell you, but the harder it gets, the enemies get tougher, you get squishier, and the equipment you're using will deteriorate faster. And I'm pretty sure that the number of enemies present on every floor will change according to the difficulty. So let's not dilly-dally too much. I'm just gonna start off another run and welcome you to the character's creation screen. As you can see, you can create your character for every run here. Unfortunately, when you start up a new run, the previous run that's if your character is still alive, will be deleted. So consider if you want to delete your previous run in order to start a new one with a fresh character, or you could try to make do with the character you already created and finish off and see how far you can get with the current run. So for this run, I'm just gonna randomly create a character for everyone's viewing pleasure. Actually, not well, I'm going to create a random character with a randomizer, but I'll just give you a quicker explanation as to what's what. So, first and foremost, you have the cosmetic options, which are highlighted in the sand, the orange-yellow, light brown. It's a light brown, and this light brown font. Your height, your weight, and your age it can be customized, but it will not affect the gameplay in any shape or form. I mean, the height difference will just adjust how high or low your camera is, but it does not affect the gameplay in any major shape. Honestly, you'd think that if a shorter character could maybe I won't say dot. Well, you think that a shorter character would be unscathed by giants attacking him or something, but no, it's you're still gonna get hit if you're shorter than a hobbit. But then again, you can get squashed under their feet. Anyway, these are purely cosmetics, and they do not affect the gameplay in any shape or form. Unfortunately, I would like to see a game that actually takes your height and weight if they're an option to customize. That takes all your cosmetic choices into consideration when it comes to gameplay. As you can see, I can adjust my character's portrait so that he or she looks, well, not just like me, but in any way I want. And I can also choose between three races: the feline race, the reptilian race, and the human. I can also choose my gender, so we have masculine or feminine. And I think I'm gonna... I'm gonna go with this. Not gonna waste too much time here, but yeah, you can adjust your hair, your hairstyle, your hair color, your not just general hair, but your facial hair if you have it, mostly your eyebrows. Adjust your eye position, the color of your eyes, and the brightness of them, and then you can adjust your facial features here. Pretty stock standard, if in all things considered. Now the attributes. Here's an interesting thing about them. You are limited to. You have a limited number of upgrades you can start off with. You can decrease You can decrease certain attributes in order to upgrade the other ones. But if you overstep, the game will not let you start off at all. You'll have to reduce You'll have to return everything to zero when it comes to upgraded attributes. You can decrease something else entirely, and that will allow you to start the game without any trouble. But it is recommended that you upgrade. That you try to max out everything before you start. Well, as much as it allows you to. So as you're already aware, your stats will affect how you perform in the game. So a strength-based character will do a lot of melee damage. Intelligent character will focus more on magical abilities. And vitality will just determine how healthy you are and how much damage you can take, and agility will determine how fast you are at running and dodging. The class system cannot be randomized. You can just choose your starting equipment from here. So let me see. Who should I start with? Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm closing my eyes so I don't see who I pick. A ranger. Nice. Well, kind of a... Okay, tell you what, I'm gonna decrease my strength a bit. And increase my agility. But yeah, depending on which statistic you're... It is recommended that you choose a class that gives you the starting equipment that's suitable for your statistics. So I'm gonna start off with the Raider here. She has a decent She has a decent long-range weapon that can kill off most enemies from a safe distance. We start off with a health potion and some golden armor. You can choose from different classes, such as melee-oriented fighters to roguelike thieves and raiders, and then you also have clerics and. Then you also have a cleric that's a mixture between melee and magical abilities. Just to let you know, gameplay-wise, you cannot rely on one type of attack only. You have to combine multiple weapons and spells in order to survive. So I'm just gonna... I'm gonna go with this for now. So we don't lose too much time on stat screens and character creation. Yes, this is how the game works. You start off in a small town that's right in front of the Devil Spire, and as you can see, the world itself is nicely created. It really reminds you of those early first-person shooters and PS1 horror games, like Silent Hill and Metal Gear Solid 1. Okay, this is It's not a tombstone, all things considered. This is just a memorial to the only character I've played so far. The only successful run I had so far. As you can see, the randomly generated character survived for 1 hour and managed to get on top of the spire. This is not an easy game, and you really have to pay attention to everything that you encounter. So the starting city works as a nice little tutorial for some interactable objects. For example, the bell, you can ring it to get encouraged, which will increase your health for the floor or the current map you're on. If you encounter a well, you can drink from it in order to find out what sort of potion you will get out of it. So we got a blue well, so that means I'll get a mana potion. So I'm gonna buy one empty ball and a lockpick real quick, and fill my ball up. So as you can see, I have a lamp on hand, which is the default starting equipment. It generates light for you to see at longer distances, but it also reveals your position to every enemy that can see you. So you might want to use the lamp carefully when you're running around. It's dangerous to go in the dark because you cannot see where the enemies are until they see you, and then you're kind of in trouble. But it also means that if you spot them before they spot you, you can take a couple of steps back and shoot at them from a safe distance. It's a decent gameplay mechanic where you have to risk exposure in order to spot more objects you can pick up or interact with sooner. So while we're here, let's just take a look at the character sprites. As you can see, most of these, well, not most. Most NPCs are 2D sprites that will rotate towards you from your perspective, so you can only see the front. This, unlike Doom, you cannot. Unlike Doom, there are no 3 separate sprites for one model of the character, so that you can see them from a different perspective. So in Doom, you had front, back, and side, which rotated depending on how you looked at them. In this game, they are all just. There's only one 2D sprite that's either rotated slower or faster depending on your angle of view. The in-game interactables are all 3D models, as you can plainly see, and some doors and windows are 2D sprites that work as that indicate that the area is interactable or passable. As you can see, there is no voice acting. You will only get sprites of text from the characters you talk to. And let's see, if every house has a shop, so everything you might want to consider what you're gonna buy, because what you're buying before you enter the spire. First things first. I'm just gonna pick a random spell for this one. Ocular Beam. Focus the light. Yeah, okay. I don't think I have enough money for it. Yeah. Gold bars. Ooh, 52 of them. Nice, I can actually purchase additional armor and weapons. Yes. Anyway, as I was saying, as you can see, most interactable objects are 3D, but you do have 2D sprites to indicate that the object is passable, or that you can destroy something. So let's see, I'm just gonna enter the weapon shop to see what this guy has on offer. Mostly long-range weaponry. So I'm just gonna purchase. My suggestion for your first playthrough: grab a couple of starting weapons because they deteriorate as you use them. though that's what these numbers are for. They will indicate how much I won't say time, but how much health your items still have. So if you hit too many times, you will lose the armor piece. So you might want to use a shield to prolong the lifespan of your armor, for example. You can also fix or upgrade your armor and other equipment with by combining the armor pieces of the same material and type into one more potent or piece of armor. And the same goes for potions. So if I combine the red and blue potion, I'll get a purple potion, and that's gonna give me a different type of potion that gives me different effects. Sometimes it's a poisonous effect which will damage me only, and actually, oh yeah, there we go. This is the purple potion. It will inflict one random ailment. Unfortunately, you cannot combine these poisons with your weaponry for some weird reason, because if that were possible, I would probably poison my crossbow and use that to deal with enemies. Sadly, the game does not allow you to return to the city. Once you enter the spire, you have to keep climbing. You cannot go backwards. You just have to climb up, unfortunately. So when you start off, I would recommend that you try to run around, try to buy off as much as you can. As you can see, I don't have any more gold, so I'll have to go in with what I purchased. So yes, I did purchase a good combination of weaponry, armor, as well as some offensive spells. So let me demonstrate how they work. As you can see, my character sprite has my weapons are either 2D, such as a crossbow, but actually, yeah, none of these weapons are. They are, visually speaking, they do have more sprite work, so that they give you a impression that they're 3D. That it works specifically for shields and your fist. Your boot is, I think it's a mixture of 3D and sprite work. As you can see, the skulls here are a decent mesh of two separate sprites that give you the illusion that this is a 3D skull. And welcome to the Devil Spire. This is how the maps work. They're randomly generated, and you have to find a staircase or a portal that will take you to the next level. Sometimes you'll start off right next to the staircase, and you can just advance to the next floor, or you can go ahead and explore in order to find additional equipment and spells, as well as gold that you will need to purchase additional items after you defeat a boss. On your way, you will encounter these parchments on the floor, which will give you some tips and tutorials depending on your needs. And yeah, just listen to this. Depending on where I step, I'll get the corresponding footsteps. I just love the sound design. It's so eerie. And you can hear the enemies in the distance, so I'm gonna try to sneak up on them. Nice. Okay, these are basic goatmen. You can kill them by quickly cornering them into a place where they cannot run away from you. And lovely, because I killed one. Oh, that's just a rock. But be careful of these 3D models that are standing out in the middle of the hallway. They usually indicate some trap that you could use to either kill an enemy or accidentally step on and get injured yourself. But traps will work universally for everyone, so ensure that you're not the one stepping on it. Make sure that the enemies are stepping on it. So let's see. I can use the lockpick to unlock everything that's locked, and voila! I just discovered a treasure chest with a helpful potion. So this is the first floor. So the game does have a specific rule set about floors and everything. Several floors are based on one theme. This one is the dungeon, as you can see, and for the next 4 or 5 floors, I will only explore dungeon-based levels, which are randomly generated, but they all have sub-rules that will be followed. The dungeons will only have the goatmen and some basic enemies you can deal with, and they usually have a lot of loot and these effigies to ancient gods and whatnot. You can make some weird offerings to them, such as your health or gold in exchange for not blessings, but additional equipment that can be useful to further your run. This is lamp oil, which is used to refill your lamp. Since this is a normal difficulty, the lamp will last quite generous. The lamp's lifespan is quite generous, so you don't have to worry about losing your light anytime soon. But it is recommended that you refuel it every couple of, I would say seconds, but every time you have the chance, if it's running on. So I don't have to tell you, but red barrels are dangerous. But the useful thing about them is you can kick them out. That was just a regular barrel. You can kick the barrels or boxes around to not only damage your opponents, but create some distance for yourself. And also damage opponents that are coming towards you. And let's see, what was I trying to say? Yes, the game's... the game is... As I said, the game is beautiful. There are no... It runs smoothly, the audio design is good. It indicates that there are enemies in the area, and light and darkness here are nicely generated. So as you can see, the enemy vary in shapes and sizes, and their gameplay mechanics also vary depending on their species. The goatmen are mostly nimble, and they will try to keep their distance so that they can attack you from a distance. So I'm going to use a shield here to defend myself. The armor so far my armor did absorb most of the damage, but I should have used the shield in order to protect myself. And yes, as you can see, as you explore the areas, you will mark them down on your map so you'll know where you've been and where you weren't. But unfortunately, the game will not mark down where you had treasure chests or enemies encountered. You will need to find a specific ring or ability that allows you to mark those things down. Most loot is randomly generated, and it's not Borderlands level of random generation where every weapon has a specific part that's just created and then named and given, and gets different effects. This game just produces weaponry and then gives it specific. It does give its weapons specific parts. Its material and its status. So let's see. I'm currently holding a small bronze battle axe. I'm currently carrying a small bronze battle axe, which is a higher quality weapon than. Yeah, it also gives you the quality of the weapons. So I cannot combine this battle axe with my hatchet here. it's not gonna work. But if I try to combine my shields, it will. This is how it works. So basically, you don't have to. The material doesn't matter. It will go for the higher quality in material when you combine items, but it has to be the same type of an item. So a shield, a bronze shield, and a steel shield will combine into a shield. And specifically, it will combine into a steel shield. And it might give it additional properties such as extra durability and extra protection. But if it's a shield of the same type, you will be given. Oh, damn it! Try to dodge that. But if it's the same type of shield, so if I get if I combine two bronze shields, I'll get the same shield, but only with increased durability and maybe some extra protection. Same goes for every weapon and piece of armor that you come across. As long as they're of the same type, you can combine them without too much hesitation. But the quality doesn't matter. It will automatically go for the piece of armor that's of superior quality. So these are that's your melee. That's your melee combat at the moment. Now let's take a look at the magical combat. As you can see, I used one of my spell. Well, I only have one spell, but I did use it to summon a cannon to aid me against other enemies. It has a limited lifespan, but thankfully it can help me fight off enemies while I close the distance and get rid of them. As you can see, this is a magical goatman, which was casting a spell, so the sooner I attack them, the better. And as you can hear in the distance, there is a trap waiting to be active. There are a couple of traps that are waiting for me, such as spikes in the floor and a bow and an automatic turret. So if I use my positioning carefully, I can use the turret to actually damage these guys. Oh, damn it! Okay, I should drink a potion right now. And naturally, the moment I drank the potion, I leveled up and restored all my health and mana. Oh well, what can you do? So, as you can see, once you level up, you enter your inventory and it will put you into a level up screen where you can choose which stat you want to upgrade. For now, I'm just gonna increase my intelligence so that I can get a larger mana pool, all things considered. But I'll have to consider my options here. As you can see, this is a special enemy. They're indicated by this glow on them. So I'm just trying to trick me into attacking me from damn it. Try to trick him into getting closer so that he gets hit by an arrow. Lovely. As you can see, I just managed to put him into a spot where he got stabbed by the arrows that were flying through, so I didn't have to fight with him so much. These highlighted enemies are usually tougher and deal a lot more damage than usual. And depending on the species you're dealing with, they're either gonna cast magics, or they're gonna... Oh, yeah, I can try to dodge this. Nope. Yeah. You can interrupt your enemy's attacks by dodging correctly or blocking, but dodging is recommended since it doesn't cost you... It will not cost you armor. It will not damage your armor or weaponry. It just requires careful timing and knowledge of your enemy's animations. Since we're on the topic of animations, there is one thing I do not like about the game. The animations, the wind-up animations for attacks are nicely animated and everything, but there is no difference between a charging attack and a regular attack. So if you think you can just take a couple steps back and avoid the incoming hit, you're mistaken. The enemy will just close the distance and hit you without too much trouble. Also, the other thing I'm not a big fan of is the lockpicking mechanics in the game. As long as you have a lockpick, every character can pick a lock, which is somewhat gameplay-wise that makes sense. That you're supposed to be proficient and adaptable to every situation you're in. But I kind of wish that every class had a bit more uniqueness to it when it came to certain abilities. For example, the Raider. She starts off with long-range weaponry, but she's not as proficient with them as the Soldier or a Madman. They're all equally proficient, and the game will generate weapons randomly for you. So, as you saw so far, every weapon I picked up or piece of equipment I got in touch with was a melee-oriented piece of weaponry, which is not bad, but it would be better if I got more long-range weapons, to be honest. Since she is a raider. My character is by her background a long-range specialist. But okay, that's just me. I'm pretty sure that this will be patched out in the future. It's a minor grievance on my part, but I really wish that this loot generation was a bit more oriented towards specific for the specific classes. I mean, seriously, and the last run I did with a soldier, I got a lot of magics and a lot of mana potions. So yeah, I was more or less prancing around butt naked and didn't have enough spell power, didn't have enough mana to actually cast anything, so I got killed fairly easily. But yeah, I sincerely hope that when the next patch comes in, this issue will be resolved. Anyway, this is the 4th floor, and after every 5 or 4 floors, you will encounter a boss arena where you have to fight off tougher monsters. So let's see what we have here. Oh, nice. We have a blob. Depending on the floor you're on, the game will generate a boss for you to deal with. They are very specific bosses. Every floor has a mixture of bosses that will be generated. On dungeon level, you'll either get the slime ball or a baby, or a grotesque golem-like baby that will pursue you and try to kill you on the spot. Oh god! I'm trying to avoid the monster and the damage it does, because I don't have enough armor to survive the attacks that are coming in. So I'm just gonna do the following: summon the golem, and try to avoid the beasts attacking. As you can see, boss enemies are usually 3D modeled, and same goes for your golem. And this is what I meant when I said some characters are not 2D sprites. There are some enemies that are really well designed as 3D models. 3D modeled. Excuse me. I'm just trying to run away and survive this. Unfortunately, most of these boss arenas are fairly small. They give you enough space to run around and avoid the enemy attack if you're long-ranged focused, but if you're a melee-oriented fighter, you're kind of screwed if you're trying to get some distance in order to drink a potion or something. Come on, almost. There we go. And I'm gonna be honest. Depending on your, I won't say draw, but depending on which character, which enemy you get, the boss fight can be very easy or very difficult. But after every boss fight, you get a choice between gold, a special ability, or a power up to one of your stats. For this one, I would recommend. I'm gonna go with the recycling ability, which will grant me. Give me a second. Which will grant me. Okay, I'm gonna increase my strength a bit. Which will grant me an ability. Which will grant me the ability to recycle my weaponry. So let's see. I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try to combine these two weapons into one, and I did, but unfortunately it's okay, that's new. But yes, depending on which items you could combine, the recycle ability will allow you to save both items, or one of them at the very least. So you get a new item and the item you get one new item, and the items you used will be preserved. So you can reuse you could reconstruct additional pieces of equipment multiple times as long as your luck holds out, to put it mildly. So after you finish the boss fight, you will After you finish your boss fights, you will enter the next floor, which is usually cleared of enemies and most of its loot. And once there, you will encounter the merchant. As you can see, these guys are dark-hooded figures that remind me of the merchant from Resident Evil 4. For some reason, I can just picture them with that voice of theirs. Over here, stranger. They never say anything though, but they will offer you various items that you could have collected on the floor for very expensive prices. I mean, an empty bottle costs 150. A lockpick costs 100, and an alchemy ring, which does the same thing as my orb here, costs 50 gold. Granted, not all equipment is gone. You can, if you're explorative enough, you will encounter some unopened chests, and you can get some. You can get some extra equipment out of it for free if you get the key for the lock chests, or if you're lucky enough to find a. If you're lucky enough to find a unopened chest. So as you can see, this game's rule set is it's a unique one. You always start off from a dungeon level, and you have to climb up from 5 dungeons to get to the next floor level. But this is where things get interesting. The game will randomly decide which floor layout you'll get. Is it a water level, a sand level, well, I won't say oriental, but a castle level? Let's put it like that. Or a forest level. The game will just randomly decide which one of the next 5 levels will be designed based on what theme. So for this one, we have a water level, and we'll be dealing with these. We'll be dealing with the melee-focused bandits. And my audio is dying, and that's my audio jack just playing up. The audio isn't dying in the game itself. It's just a problem on my end. But yes, as the game goes, you will on every floor you will encounter different enemies with different. Oh, damn it! This is what I meant when I said be careful with your lamp. It will let everyone know that you're here. But there is one funny thing about the game that you can use. Depending on the door type and interactable objects you come across, you can use traps as well as certain doors in order to kill your enemies faster. So if it's give me a second, I'm just going to show you how alchemy works. So by combining certain items such as garbage, you can construct runes which are used to empower your weaponry or armor pieces. So for my choice of rune, I just upgraded my crossbow with additional bonus. Let's see, there's an enemy here. Nope. But as I mentioned, every area has its own unique enemies you have to deal with. And hello. This is a key for a locked chest. Those are indicated by the red coloring, and they usually give you better pieces of equipment. The problem is you have to find them first. And there you go. And depending on the level of difficulty, you will get different pieces of equipment. So at this point, I'm just trying to locate the staircase. And knowing my luck, it's going to be right next to me somewhere. Oh, another bell. Nice. Ooh. Ooh. So yeah, you might want to prioritize which enemies you're going to fight off first. You have there's quite a difference between them. You have melee focused, you have magic focused enemies, and those guys are usually indicated by that. They're usually indicated by those spheres that glow around them as they're about to cast. So your best bet for survival is usually the usage of run. Ooh. Keep your distance. Keep your distance. Whew, that was scary. Yeah, your best bet is to usually keep your distance and try to utilize the environment to your advantage. You cannot lose the enemy. You cannot hide from your enemies; they will continuously pursue you. But you can use gates like these to skewer them and kill them. You can use these doors like traps in order to kill the enemy if you could keep them under the door for long enough. You can use the spikes, or you can use traps to your own advantage. And depending on how lucky you are, you'll get rid of the enemies either very quickly, or you'll get overrun by them and get killed. In this case, I got lucky because I was about to die. Not gonna lie. But as you can see, I did manage to outrun and outgun most of my enemies fairly easily. But I will have to be careful if I want to survive for long. So I saw a guy in the distance there. So my idea here is to stay back and avoid him. Oh, hey. Ooh. Good crap. As I said, utilize environments to your advantage as much as possible, because you will need to utilize everything. You cannot rely on a single weapon. As you just saw, I was relying on the crossbow a bit too much, so now I'm in a bit of a bind. I'm down to 1 health point, and I cannot do anything else. Thankfully, the items in my The items in my possession allow me to survive for longer, but not by much. And also, every area with a chest in it is empty, but the enemies can come across, can follow you into it. So don't think you can just cheese your that you can abuse the AI and hide somewhere and shoot at them shoot at people from a distance. You have to be on the move without pause. As you saw, there is another trap there, so I have to move carefully. And if I'm smart enough, I can maybe I can kite one of my enemies towards it in order to kill him. Thankfully, I only had to deal with one enemy right now, but I really do need a health spell, a healing spell, or a health potion in order to win this. So I'm just gonna do the following. I'm going to summon a golem in order to deal with these guys. I'm going to charge my attack. Crap. And I'm dead. But yeah, that's how Devil Spire works. Depending on your luck and choices, you can end up in a very, very bad situation early on or later down the line. As you saw, most of my weapons were primarily oriented towards melee combat, and I should have stuck with them, but I wanted to show off with the shooter mechanics. Yeah, I wanted to show off, so that's kind of worked against me on that one. But I really do love this game. It has a lot of unique gameplay mechanics to it. Every spell is unique. The power-ups you pick up will either make your life difficult or easier, depending on what you get. But it is a challenging game nonetheless. I mean, the enemies you encounter are no slouches. Granted, I really wish that the classes you play with did offer a bit more variation to the gameplay as well. For example, Raider, which is a long-range specialist, should probably be a bit more proficient with long-range weapons and have a. I did encounter a power-up that gave me that turned every long-range weapon I had into a double. Gave me a double missile when I threw or shot something. So a crossbow would fire 2 arrows in an arc. Well, not an arc, but two arrows in 2 separate directions. So you could use it as a crowd control shotgun, or you could use the bow and arrow as well, not as a. It is bow and arrows are snipers, equivalent of snipers in this game, but with that power up, you could double the damage you dealt. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, the weapon variety, the combination of the way you can combine weapons and armor pieces to create a better equipment is mandatory for the gameplay. You really have to combine everything. But all things considered, this is a challenging game, and I love it, and I couldn't recommend it more than I already did. This has the qualities of a classic, and if it's mod friendly and if the developers are interested in keeping the game alive, well, not just alive, but more Twitch focused, they could add multiplayer later down the line, which I sincerely hope it is the case, because this game would be a blast to play with friends, in my opinion. Just goofing around with a small party of people and trying to survive the onslaught that's coming. It would make a great Twitch experience. Well, not just primarily it will make a good game experience, but it will also make an interesting Twitch experience for anyone who's watching the player, if the player chooses to go on Twitch. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, as for the gameplay itself, I love it. It's challenging. There is a minor bug that teleports you to the back of from one area to another one once you get hit if you're close to a wall. That happens on occasion, but it's not game breaking. The game runs smoothly. But yeah, for the game's longevity, I really think that the developers should add the multiplayer at one point, just to add a bigger fun factor to the gameplay. And if there's a modding community for this, I do see this game as a long-time favorite amongst roguelike enthusiasts. But anyway, yeah, I really hope you guys are. If you guys stayed for this long, I can't thank you enough. This is Devil Spire. Honestly, it's an amazing game and a great passion project turned into an amazing experience in my book. So when it comes on February 4th, I would recommend that you guys. When it comes out, I would recommend that you buy it and play it to as much as you can. It doesn't have much lore. It's just it's not just not just a randomly generated dungeon crawler. It's an experience. You can create the lore for your characters. You can even have some minor, depending on if the multiplayer ever comes out, you could even create some D&D sessions in there if you want to. If you cannot LARP, you can at the very least play a weird D&D session in there. Just a possibility is all I'm saying. If you create okay, that's just me. I'm not a developer. That's not up to me. These are just suggestions, and I honestly hope some of these ideas will get implemented later down the line. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. My name has been Bedomy. Thank you very much for watching, and if you ever start playing this, let me know. If there's a multiplayer, I might join you for a session or two. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and good night.